Hey, Better Race fans, Richard out on motorsportsreport.net. Coming at you live from my back porch. But you can hear the neighbor in the background doing a little yard work, but that's fine. Hopefully he'll come over here and do some of mine. Today's edition of Rich's Ramblings, I'm going to talk about tonight's Dirt Late Model Dream, maybe offer up a prediction or two, and get everything set up for that. If you haven't been keeping up so far, go on to motorsportsreport.net. We've got a write-up from throughout the week. I did interviews last week with Mike Marlar and with Brandon Shepard, previewing this weekend at Eldora Speedway. So check those out. Have race write-ups from Ricky Thornton's win on Thursday, and as well as Devin Moran's win on Friday. How about Devin Moran breaking that Moran jinx that's been at Eldora ever since his dad Donnie won the Eldora Million back there in 2001, but Devin broke through last night, picking up a $25,000 win, as Ricky Thornton Jr. picked up that $25,000 win on Thursday. The results from those races, qualifying heat races, B mains, and feature all drivers accumulated points during all of that, which went into a big pot, and then after they had accumulated their points, that set the heat race lineups. You can check out those heat race lineups on motorsportsreport.net as well, if you want to get a little more in-depth look there from instead of what I'm going to talk about here, which I'm going to get to in just a minute. Tonight there will be 6 heat races that'll set the feature lineup for the $100,030 to win 30th annual Dirt Late Model Dream at Eldora Speedway. Of course, it's going to be on flowracing.com if you're not there in Rossburg, Ohio, here tonight. But out of those 6 heat races, the top 3 will transfer onto the feature. Of course, there'll be a couple of B mains as well that'll help fill out the rest of the feature lineup. But let's go ahead and just take a look at my initial thoughts as I saw the heat race lineups posted this morning. In Heat 1, Brandon Overton is going to start on the pole. What happened was, after they'd piled up their points from Thursday and Friday, they set the heat race lineups, but then based on a spin of the Wheel of Doom that Ricky Thornton Jr. did last night, because he was the top points accumulator, they inverted the top 4 in those heat race lineups. So Brandon Overton will start from the pole on heat race 1. If you look at that heat race, you got some pretty heavy hitters. You know, normally when you go to any sort of a dirt race and you look at the heat race lineups after they're posted, you'll look and say, oh man, you know, heat 2's loaded or heat 4's loaded or something like that. Well, at the Dirt Late Model Dream at Eldora, they're all loaded. Every one of them. I bet out of these heat race lineups, you can find probably a couple or even 3 guys that, if they were to be the final winner tonight, be the one up on that Eldora Victory Lane stage, you wouldn't be surprised. And, you know, like I said, there's 2 or 3 of those in every heat race. But if we look at Heat 1, Brandon Overton's in it. Tim McCready is on the outside of the front row. Then you got Max Blair, Ricky Thornton Jr., Garrett Alberson, Dennis Erb Jr., and Ryan Gustin, just to name a few out of that. So if I were to pick the 3 who are going to come out of that heat race, not necessarily in any particular order, Brandon Overton's hard to look past. You know, it's getting to start on the front row as he is, and had so much success at Eldora. He's so good there, and he's gotten off to a pretty good start here this season. He's picked up some feature wins. So I'm going to say Overton will come out of that. How can you deny Ricky Thornton Jr.? He was so strong on Thursday. Now, granted, he sort of picked up that win when Bobby Pierce had some trouble in the heat there with some engine issue, or I'm sorry, in the feature with some engine issues. But still, Thornton going to be awfully tough. I'll tell you a guy who has really been coming on strong here lately, who's in Heat 1, starting 5th, is Garrett Alberson. So if I had to pick the 3 guys who are going to come out of this heat race, I would pick Brandon Overton, Ricky Thornton, and Garrett Alberson. These heat races are 15 laps long. It gives time for things to kind of play out, rather than just say an 8 or a 10 lap, you know, real hard dash to try and get in. So you got a little time for maybe the handling to go away on some of the cars or something like that. So I'm going to say Overton, Thornton, and Alberson will come out of Heat 1. Again, no particular order. That's just who I think will come out. Heat 2's interesting. You got Scott Bloomquist, you know, Eldora's all-time winner as far as Dirt Late Model Dreams. He's won 8 Dirt Late Model Dreams. So, you can't look past him, even though, the last 3 or 4 years for Scott have been a struggle with the injuries from the motorcycle wreck that he had several years ago and all that. But he knows his way around Eldora. He got off to a pretty decent start this year, and they started having some mechanical problems, got into a crash or two. So he's driving a Terry Wolfenbarger car. You got also in this heat race, you got Stormy Scott with a new Category 5 chassis. Garrett Smith, who seems to always be fast. There might be sometimes some issues with getting that speed to the finish line, but he always seems to be fast, and I think a 15-lap heat race will set up well for him. Devin Moran starting 4th in that. Devin Moran looked really strong last night on Friday. Led that 50-lap feature flag to flag. Never, I don't think, really seriously challenged in that race. Tanner English, Chris Ferguson, Cody Overton, all in there. Shannon Babb, who you can never count out either. But I'm going to say coming out of Heat 2, I'm going to pick Moran, Garrett Smith, and I'm going to throw Scott Bloomquist in there, that he'll come out of that heat and make it to the feature. All right, and then Heat 3, you got Carson Ferguson, who you really got to like Carson Ferguson. I mean, this guy's Paler Motorsports, everything. Since Tim McCready left Paler Motorsports, they've kind of elevated Carson Ferguson to their number 1 driver. So there's plenty of resources there behind him, and he seems to be super talented. Of course, the cousin of Chris Ferguson, who also I kind of hated to look past Chris Ferguson in his heat race, but I did. You got Chris Madden starting on the outside of the front row in Heat 3. I mean, is this finally going to be the year when Chris Madden comes through at Eldora? He seems like he's been so close to so many runner-up and podium finishes at Eldora. Maybe this will be the time. A guy who I really like and has started off the season quite well. He's leading the World of Outlaws Case Construction late model points is Nick Hoffman. He's starting 3rd. And then you got Dale McDowell and Bobby Pierce. My goodness, how do you pick 3 guys who are going to come out of this heat? But I'm going to try. So I'm going to say Chris Madden will come out of this heat. I'm going to say Bobby Pierce was so strong on Thursday night before he had his engine troubles there. So I'm going to guess that they've got that rectified. And Dale McDowell's just always as steady as can be at Eldora, running that bottom line. So I'm going to say that Madden, McDowell, and Pierce come out of Heat 3. Heat 4, this one's a little bit of a wild card. Got some interesting names in here. You got Trent Ivey, Tyler Erb, Cade Dillard, Josh Rice, Devin Gilpin, Mike Marlar, all in there. Marlar is so good everywhere he races, but he's just never been able. He's won some preliminary stuff at Eldora, but he's never been able to get either the World 100 or the Dirt Late Model Dream, or of course nowadays the Dirt Track World Championships at Eldora too. So I'm going to say that Marlar will come out of this. I'm going to pick him. Tyler Erb has shown really good speed here this year, and so has Cade Dillard. So my 3 picks to come out of Heat Race 4 are going to be Marlar, Tyler Erb, and Cade Dillard. Heat 5, you got Ashton Winger, Dalton Wilson, Hudson O'Neal, Brandon Shepard, Spencer Hughes, Jimmy Owens. Jimmy Owens looked really good on his preliminary night. Started well back and then just charged up through into the top 10 in the feature. So I'm going to think that Jimmy's going to keep that momentum going. Dalton Wilson's been good throughout the year. I think Jimmy Owens, Dalton Wilson will come out of this heat race. And then you got Hudson O'Neal driving that Kevin Rumley car. It's a Kevin Rumley car with Hudson O'Neal driving it. So I'm going to say that he's going to come out of Heat 5 as well. And then the last heat, Heat 6, you got Shane Clanton, Ricky Weiss, Kyle Bronson, Jonathan Davenport. Jonathan Davenport's the man at Eldora. He's going to come out of this heat race. Kyle Bronson's been had some really good runs here so far in 2024, so I'm going to pick him. Shane Clanton's a former winner at Eldora, so I'm going to say that he'll come out. So Davenport, Bronson, and Shane Clanton are who I'm picking to come out of Heat 6. When all that plays out, okay, who's going to win the Dirt Late Model Dream? And ultimately, Richard Allen's prediction from motorsportsreport.net is that Brandon Overton will be the winner of the Dirt Late Model Dream when it's all said and done. I hope you'll. I thank you for taking the time to watch, and I hope you'll continue checking out motorsportsreport.net. And of course, look for tomorrow. There'll be a post-race write-up on there as well, and maybe some other stories too. But until then, I'll see you at the track.